TikTok. Y'all know the drill. So we're going to touch on a couple of things before I get started. First, the most important thing is if you do not have martial art training, please do not attempt anything that you see here tonight. This is a video for fun. Plus, I owe YouTube a video and a night show. But before we get on that, I want to drop something important, not that y'all can actually see me. Okay. So we'll just put this light right here then. Thank God for magnets. So I want to drop something important. Alright? So, before I begin, this goes specifically to native TikTok. Because I am multicultural and partially native, I don't have a strong voice. But after this live is over, I want to, before this live is over, I am going to address a few things outside of the martial arts. But for the moment in time, right now, as this big gigantic ass moth flies by my lights, I'm going to do martial arts, but I am going to address a few things for native TikTok during this live after I'm done with the martial arts. And if you're a martial artist, I can't have guests because I don't know why this thing won't let me do it. But if you're a martial artist and you don't really agree with some of the things I'm saying, it's all good. Again, this video is mostly for my YouTube and for YouTube to have fun. My YouTube channel is Kung Fu Havoc #2 for those who pop in late if you miss anything. I'm just going to work the same weapons that I always work. I'm not going to do anything fancy. I will probably do bound fighting and see what's happening in that spectrum of life. And also see what's going on over here with this busted up shed. Okay. Sorry about that. Keep hearing things over there. So it's probably the groundhogs. They're probably mad as hell that we've destroyed their place of hiding. Alright, so trying to make sure that my lights don't disturb my neighbors. Okay? Because they're all skilled children, like school children, and they're young and they are from a foreign country. I believe they are refugees, so our hearts go out to them and we'll help them as much as we can. So again, as a martial artist, I say this with absolute possible conviction. Alright? One, if you have not been trained in some form or any form of martial arts, do not attempt to see the stuff that you see me do. Two, some of the things that you see on TV can be used in real life, but it's a minimum, not a maximum. In other words, it's a minority of the stuff versus a majority of the stuff. Because if you happen to get into a real fight, understand that fighting is lethal and you can get hurt really, really bad. And you can go further than hurt, as in morgatory or crematorium. Understand that if you are in a no-win situation, you may have to take an L just for the fight to stop. Understand that if you are in a situation where you are outnumbered, you may not be as good in the physical as you are in your head. Alright? And remember, fighting in your head doesn't always transfer to you using your fist or your feet. And finally, if you are going to take a martial art, take many. Be well-rounded and make sure that the person who is training you is as invested into you as they are invested as in you filling up their wallet. If a teacher does not pull you to the side and help you with the skill that you are lacking at, I'm not going to say he's a horrible teacher, but he is not an informed teacher. Not saying he's not a great teacher, but he's not greatly invested in you, and you should probably find a teacher that is willing to put you in the class where people are slacking to invest in y'all more than the people who aren't slacking. Alright? And finally, because I should have said this at the beginning, I don't believe in the belt system. The belt system is basically a system of control per school, of rank and class, and it is a way to check your ego. Alright? go into a school in the first place, you should already have your ego checked, and you should be respectful. However, against all odds, and all senseis and sifus and shidoshis are gonna come at me for this shit. And to you, I say I don't give a shit because y'all know I'm right. You can't untrain what I already know. You can only train me from the level that I'm on to get to your level, unless I'm at a higher level than you and you just don't want me to know it. Okay? And that does happen. A lot of senseis know who's at a higher level than them. You could say it's a spider sense, but a lot of us know who is at a higher level than you by how we walk and how we carry ourselves. Now, I ain't saying I know everything, but I am saying that some of the things I say to y'all are based in merit and valid, and you should probably always double check. And again, God, I hope that's not snow. Hope those are bugs. Anyway, so I can hurry up and get started before it actually becomes water or anything falling from the sky. If your teacher's not willing to invest in you, then you need to invest in getting another teacher. That being said, be well-rounded in martial arts, not just one. Let's get started, shall we? We're going to work the chain first, just because it's probably the fastest thing I can reach in this toolbox. And another thing, as fancy and as good as weapons are, you're not always going to have them. Keep that in mind. There is no deadlier weapon than the human weapon. This is just an extension of your skill set. That's it. It doesn't hurt to know how to work them. It doesn't hurt to know how to lose control and gain control back. No, I didn't lose control on purpose. I literally lost control. Learning how to stop your weapon with all parts of your body can be paramount to your survival. I think one of my lights is really shining on my neighbor's house. Okay, that's better. Sorry. No one wants to disturb anybody on a Sunday night. The most important part about learning how to use a weapon is learning how to control it, learning how to stop it. And learning for that to happen. That's a full extension because it slipped out of my hand. See how that works? Now you know why carrying a weapon to a fight is a death sentence. Alright? A lot of people aren't going to agree with that. To those people I say, carry the right weapon to the right weapon and see what the hell happens when that person who's just a smidget better than you with that weapon takes it from you. A lot of the stuff I just did, you can do with the meteor hammer or the long dart or rope dart, whatever you want to call it. Those actions, if someone's better than me with that, and they get a hold of this chain, they just took my weapon and they just beat me up with it. So I say again, the best weapon is the human body. You can have all the skill you want with these things, but if you come across someone just a little bit better than you, they're going to take your weapon. They're going to destroy you with your weapon. Don't let anybody else tell you otherwise, because they're lying. The weapon is only good as the person wielding it. So if you come across someone who's a little bit more skilled with the chain, a rope dart, a meteor hammer, a fucking 3-section, Anything that you bring to a fight, you don't know if the other person is good or better than you. And that's a problem. I messed up. I don't want to accidentally get locked out the house. Let's go with rings. Now remember, working one ring is always going to be different than working two. There is, for me, no distinction of what's better to have one or two. Some people would say having two is better than one, because you know how they always say two heads are better than one. That shit's very situational. Try to remember that. That shit is very, very situational. Because you can have one ring and two opponents. You got two rings and one opponent, which then you probably would want two rings. But if you have two opponents and one ring, that means you have to work extra hard. Worse than that, if you're going against someone who's a Wing Chun master and real good with Pak Sao, then you may have a problem. And if they take your rings from you, you have a big problem. That's why I tell people, I train with weapons and pray I never have to use them. Alright? Because there's always that chance. No matter what anybody tells you when this video ends, when this live ends, there's always that fucking chance. You're going to stumble into that one person who's been doing this shit since they was 3 years old. I started when I was 7, which is 4 years too late by most Chinese standards. So, especially if you come from a family of martial artists, they start their kids, their proteges start at 3, sometimes 2. If you know someone who's been doing martial arts since they were 2, and they kept dedicated to it, they didn't lose interest, they stayed learning, they had that discipline. You're messing with a god. Remember that. You are messing with a god. I would be considered a demigod, but not a god. But demigods can excel. Remember, a demigod can become a god. And there's always something that you may have missed. There's always something that I have missed. But if you're not learning, you're not living. If you're making a film, or alive, if you see, I stop to turn to look to you versus this, because even though it looks cool to me to see myself do this, I just got my ass kicked because I was looking at the camera trying to be a show off. So here, crane, tap, and I'm looking at the camera versus looking at my opponent who would have gotten way past that shit and beat my ass. When you're training, try not to get in the habit of looking at the camera often. So, you know, you're training in front of the camera, that's different versus and looking to y'all to see what I look like. Alright? This is a distraction, and it's not good training. It should be like this. This is my way. This is the way I'm looking. This is the way I'm going to be fighting. Now, regardless, I can go back and watch this on YouTube to correct my mistakes. I just can't edit it. But it's a whole lot more fucked up if I'm doing this and looking at y'all. I am not Neo from the Matrix. This, and someone being right here throwing punches and me just doing this, it's gonna be utter bullshit in real life. You might block one or two of these things, boom, while you're looking over here at somebody's boobs or something, because that would be the only way that could happen to me. But if I'm fighting, boom, 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 I'm keeping my eye on my target. I'm not over here trying to be the one. No, fuck that. I'm trying to survive. So, Now, another technique that you need to learn for Kung Fu, even karate. I don't know if they practice it in capoeira, but Ghost Man technique. So, let me explain that before I start. And catch my breath. Ghost Man technique is a technique where you fight an imaginary opponent, or two, or five. Why do you do this technique? So that you are prepared for more than one opponent. Yes, I am trying to catch my breath while I'm talking, because I'm old. Again, you don't do this. Fine at home. You're training in your gym, fine. But once the fucking shit gets real, or once you start sparring and shit, this, not an option. Your sparring partner might think that's cool, right before he racks your fucking knuckles. Because you looked at him, it's like, I'm a bad motherfucker. Look at that, didn't even drop him. And in this spin right there, crack. He dropped your stick, and he dropped you. So, prepare. You don't have to do this to prepare. This is your prepare. Nothing more, nothing less. Simple. Southpaw stand, or Wing Chun stance. Standard stance. Boom, 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 boom. As you notice, these are blocks, but they are also strikes. If you've taken Kempo, you know that every block is a strike and every strike is a block. I know you get tired of hearing me say that shit, but deal with it, because you'll hear it 20,000 more times from people who teach Kempo. You will hear it from the day you step in and to the day you step out, right? So, windshield wiper block. You see this one's here, it's ready to strike. So, I stepped back and I drew back. Step forward. As I block or strike, I got this up so I can either strike or I can block. I call it a windshield wiper because I'm wiping down my central line, okay? For those who do not understand, your central line, that's from the tip of your head to the groin, all the way behind the astral plane of your anus, and back up to your central line, which means you want to be able to protect this from getting hit in the throat, hitting the sternum, hitting the testicles, hitting the back. That block, little windshield wiper. You know, you want it that way for a specific reason. It is designed to protect you. Boom, that guy comes from this side. You see where this is up here. This is blocking. This is preparing to strike. Or this is already struck, and this is preparing to counter. Boom. Understand? Hopefully I was in frame for that. Let's try it again. Boom. So here. Boom. All right? Now that's going to be the movement. Got it? So I got my windshield wiper strike and my strike. All right? It's also a block. So don't get confused. You're taking a tiny bit of Kempo and adding it into Kung Fu. All right? So my block being a strike. If I'm standing here and I block and I strike, you see how my legs step back into, I think it's Yinbo? I can't remember. So don't come at me for the names of the fucking stands because I can't remember. 48, give me a break. So I blocked, I got ready to counter, and I went into the small bow stance. The phone can't see me, but the camera on the laptop can. So I blocked, I'm ready to strike, and my footwork went back. Now, you can make the triangle if you want. So you can step out, and that way you can do that, or you can just step back, or you can step the other way, and now you've switched your positions completely. So now your windshield wiper is here versus when it was here. They're in the exact same spot for those who are eagle-eyed. Yeah. So I just took a step back. Now I step back on my base leg versus my kick leg. Now let's say I wanted to do Kempo and Wing Chun, and I take the block, the prepare to block, the step back, and the front low gung fu kick to shin. Ready? Boom, boom. All right. So when I step back, that was for the brace myself. So I struck or block, prepared, step back, boom. Okay? Look better the first time. Boom, boom. Okay? Now, if you're like uncoordinated like me, you don't really have to do too much stepping. You can just block and lean back a little bit and then push off. But there's no power behind that. But if you, boom, you see I step back, now I took up, and then I put out. Now, it's going to work differently for everybody because body mechanics are a thing. Notice I didn't look at the camera. Totally did something like this because when you start swinging your sticks, sometimes you will swing out, sometimes you will swing down. So you will find the one that works for you. I think I sprained my wrist earlier, so this works better than this and this. Now, again, situational. If this is what I can manifest, that's what I'm going to do. If I block and have to do that, it's because he's out of reach or I'm out of reach. One of us is out of range, and this is a wider swing. Now, to make it even a wider string, I have no grip on my gripper here, and if I swing it too hard and it slides out my hand, I've disarmed myself. So you want to be careful. Boom, boom, or boom and boom. Understand? So here, block, strike, or block, strike, kick. You'll figure out the combinations that will work for you, but you don't do this. Okay? Now we're going to commas. All right, these are wooden commas. Remember that. Wooden commas, you can spend doing training. Real commas, don't do that shit because you get wrong, you cut off arm. You hit an artery, you bleed out in 2 to 5, and if you do make it to the hospital, you're going to have a hell of a time explaining to the doctor that you did some shit you saw on YouTube and cut your fucking hand off. So don't do that shit. When you go into a battle with commas, they stay like this. Block, block, strike, strike. Now remember, these things are for close quarter combat and they are for gouging. They are not to be done like this. If you want to fight this way, then you come in this way from the jump. Block, strike. They don't look very healthy because of how close my hands are to the blades, which is very bad for you. If your hand slips and you cut straight through, then you have no hand. So if you want to come in like that, you want your hand at mid-range. But commas, actual commas, are smaller than these. They are way smaller than these. So you're taking a chance at any rate with your hands like this. So I don't recommend it for real life. I recommend you come in just like this. All right? Block, push off, and come down. Or you can push off and do the same. Or you can push off and kick your opponent and never have to do that. All right? It looks cool for the movies. It really does. It looks real cool for the movies, especially when I get it right. That didn't go right. But the first time, when you see me doing this and it works out, that's some movie shit. Cool beans. You will never do that in a fight with real commas. No matter what anybody tells you, this is a death sentence. Yeah, it looks cool. You see people doing it with the modified commas that aren't sharp. Their edges, they're just shiny. Okay. You can call me a hypocrite for that, because there are people who do this shit and they spin them on their hands and all that other shit. These aren't made for that. The real commas are not made for that. They are made to hurt, maim, unalive people. They are not made to do this. Now, if you're making a movie, that would be a great scene. Here, let's play that out. You are no good to me. You have no weapons and no ability. I still got this. I couldn't think of something to say. It's different when you're talking to yourself. So, all right. Block, strike, pull out, whip around. That looks cool, right? Block, strike, whip out, whip around, and strike again. And in real life, I probably would die. Because I'm blocking, I've struck them, I've pulled out, I've whipped it around. And in that little time to whip it around, I left off 2 things that you need to know. Where's his other hand if I'm still holding this blade? I just pulled this blade out, I whipped it around. You're going to tell me he doesn't have another hand that's armed and ready to cut off my arm while I'm trying to be cool? Block, strike, pull out, whip around. No, that shit's not going to happen. If I block and I struck and he doesn't die, he's going to come back at me. Even if I'm still holding his weapon, he's going to come. He's not going to just sit there unless it's like an artery and he bleeds out like immediately, which can happen. But you have to understand how fighting actually works. If I'm blocking and I'm striking with these commas, I'm not striking to play with you. I'm striking to end your shit. Boom, boom. This is it. I'm gutting right across here where I have your abdominals. If I go a little higher, I'm at your sternum. Remember the scene from Jurassic Park where Sam Neill scared the little kid and told him how the velociraptor jumps on you and will rip you across the belly? Enough said. Block, slice, slice, because that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm not going to be doing this. Block, strike, pull out, whip it around, slice again. There's no way in physics or in time outside of a movie where that's even a logical step to do. There really isn't, and my light's tipping. Sorry, it was this light. They have magnets at the bottom. Anyway, I understand how that shit works. I can do it with the other hand too. Block, strike, pull back, whip around, strike again. Now you see, master of control. Block, strike. This will probably fuck up. Pull back. Nope, didn't fuck up. Now let's do it at speed, which means I'm probably going to drop the thing. Block, strike, pull back. See? It hit my arm. I'd have died. The simple test would have been block, strike, pull out, strike again. Instead of block, strike, pull out, whip, strike. Looks like a lot of fun, right? But you're never going to get the chance to do that. Boom, so. That's why. Wasn't dropped on purpose. When I drop these things, believe me, it's not on purpose. Boom, strike. And you see how well that worked? Boom, strike, boom. Okay? Rarely will you see me drop this bitch on purpose. Boom, boom. Still hit my arm. Real life, I'd have gouged out my forearm. And you know that bone inside your forearm that splits? I don't remember what the fuck it's called, but that bone in there that split, you got a lot of veins and stuff going through there. So you're going to fuck yourself up. So stick to real shit. Stick to basics. Block, strike, pull out, strike. Not block, strike, pull out, whip it, strike. No. Just block, strike, strike, strike. Block, strike, kick, strike. You have your combos. Block, strike, 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 strike. You notice I didn't even move this? I'm not still holding it. They're like block, kick, double gash. It's not going to happen in real life. You get this block off, you get this kick off, you reset immediately. Because 9 times out of 10, if you just kick them off, they're probably going to step back and get into their fighting position, which means you're back to square one. You don't want to have to keep going back to square one. But in the event that you have to go back to square one, you don't want to do that. Because I'm at square one. Now I just gave this man an opportunity because I just injured myself. Trying to be a badass. Don't try to be a badass. Boom, boom. Get it done. Don't do that though. That just looked cool because I didn't drop a damn thing. Boom. See how it almost went out of my hand? Boom, boom. That actually came from my hand. If you actually go back and watch this video later, you'll see that when I did this, I actually did that. I can't do it now because I'm nervous. But that's kind of what it was supposed to do. So you'll see it. But you'll have to check it out on Kung Fu Habit number 2. You block, strike, strike, strike. Not block, strike, spin it, and then strike. Okay, before I go on, I'm going to say this. I'm going to piss off a lot of people. A lot of people have been misled with a lot of weapons through movies and TV. Specifically, commas and size. All right? They're close-quarter weapons. You're going to need to be good. Real fucking good. These are practice commas. They are 2.5 times larger than the actual comma. Alright? In fact, these things work as perfect tonfas because they're the size of actual tonfas with a couple of exceptions on the tips. And the fact that tonfas are squared while these are circular. Alright? I understand how weapons work. I understand how your body works. I understand that this is supposed to represent a blade. So when I do this and it goes fine, great. But in reality, if I do this and it just grazes me, it's going to take out a chunk of skin. And if it hits the right artery, my enemy doesn't have to do anything but watch me bleed. So try to remember that. Last go, boom, strike, spin. See how I just hit my arm? That's why you don't do that. It's boom, strike, strike, strike. Boom, strike, strike, strike. Boom, strike, 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 strike. Kick, strike. Never, ever will it be boom, strike, spin, strike. Now, y'all want to make a movie, we can do that. But I forgot about the guy behind me. But y'all didn't think I was going to go there? If I'm focused on this guy, and I done gashed him, and I done come out and whip that around, the guy behind me is probably going to cut my arm off in the time it takes for me to do this, pull out, whip around, and do that. I forgot about the guy behind me. So he's going to probably cut off my arm as I go in because my dumb ass, instead of doing this block, strike, strike, I decided strike, whip out, do some fancy bullshit. No. Strike, when you strike, you keep striking. So you block, strike, strike, not block, strike, strike, and then pull out, and then do this, and then strike again. No, just keep striking. Boom, 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 boom. Safer. Now, you still got to worry about the guy behind you. So, it'll be more like strike, gash, turn, and strike. This guy's hurt. Doesn't mean he's down, but he's hurt just long enough for you to get this guy off your back. Boom, 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 boom. He's back. Kick, strike, 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 strike. Not this. Just keep swinging. The second you think that you're going to be able to do this and not do damage to yourself, you've been watching too much TV. Or too much of me. But you can never get enough of me, because I'm that fucker. So by the magic of your imaginations, these tonfas, or now these commas, are tonfas. Tonfas, still dangerous. Wooden or not. And I'm not going to say they're thick enough to block a sword. But if you're fast enough to get the fuck out of the way, you may have a fighting chance. We'll put it at that. Because the reality is, these are not tonfas. And a very sharp sword will probably not only cut through the tonfa, but your arm as well. So you kind of really don't want to go up against a guy with a sword unless you make the first move. And you better make that fucking move count. So if he's coming and he's swinging and you sidestep and you slam this into him, and then slam that into him, you need to pray that he drops that sword. There's a lot of things you have to understand about combat between using a wooden weapon and a steel weapon. They don't always mix. If you're using a bow staff, you got a fighting chance because you have range. When you're using a tonfa, you got to get in there. Boom, boom. Like I said, my comfort zone is to spin from the outside to the in. Yours might be from the inside to the out. Let me make sure I show you that again. Outside to the in, inside to the out. I don't feel comfortable with the inside to the out. I feel comfortable with the outside to the in. And not just because these are actually commas posing as tonfas in my hands, but because real tonfas, they do spin. You can spin those things as long as you have a good enough grip and a good enough skill set. You can spin these bitches forever. Yeah, you can make it go in a continuous circle. Not so much with these practice commas, but with the real thing, boom, boom. You can just keep working that bitch around. These, not so much. They're practice. They're not even fucking tonfas. But, one second. Not afraid, but it doesn't hurt to be careful. With tonfas, you have to understand they work as good as you make them work, and you need to practice these damn things often. The thing for me is I am afraid I'm going to break my own rib trying to get this bitch out to come from the inside to the outside. Where on the outside to the inside, it poses less dangerous of me hitting myself. So when I block it, boom, I can still go this way versus when I block it this way and then go that way, and I have to adjust my body. So for those who didn't see that, let me try that again. Boom. I gotta adjust my body. When I go from the inside to the outside, my body has to get farther enough away so that even though I'm in this blocking position, I just blocked. I need to strike, but my body needs to be far enough away so that I don't hit myself trying to get that shit done. You understand? You gotta do it right, or you're gonna get hurt. You're gonna get hurt real, real bad. Because it doesn't take much to break a rib. It doesn't really take that much pressure to break a rib. It takes more pounds of pressure to break a leg than it does to break a rib, and you can break a rib without even trying. Because you just blocked, boom. Now I just broke my fucking rib. You understand? Because I blocked it with a lot of force, trying not to hit my leg at the same time. Boom. Now I go this way. It's a good chance that I'm going to hit my own body. But if I block it and I go this way, I got a better chance of hitting my opponent. Now that's my personal feelings, so for y'all can actually get perspective. Boom. See, I have to get my arm out for the full extension and protect my ribs, where when I block it this way and I just go this way, you see the bend in my arm? I don't necessarily have to do that for outside to inside. The inside, I got to get that arm fully extended. A lot of people get confused and forget, versus, See, I didn't have to fully extend that left arm. So if I block and I'm there, versus I block and I'm here, I got to get that arm away from my body. I throw a punch, and then I do that, boom. That's not comfortable for me, boom. And see, I can retract it faster and pull it out as I go. I can retract it faster and swing it faster from outside versus retracting it and going in. Boom. See how I come in? You got to learn how to practice boom and then this. But sometimes you might practice boom and forget and jab yourself. It happens to the best of us, trust me. Getting hit with a tonfa fucking sucks, especially when you're training. So, boom. But that's me. I prefer outside versus inside. Boom. That's inside. Boom. That's outside. Boom. That's outside. Boom. That's inside. I'm not comfortable from inside out. Anything that goes this way, for me, would have to be where they're standing and how close they are to me so I can get my body positioning right. So that if I have to do a double, I know I got to get my arms fully extended so I don't hurt myself. Where if I have to do a double from the outside and I just block, boom. Understand? I hope I'm teaching you something useful other than not. And then we're going to do nunchucks. One set only. We're going with red because it's dark as fuck out here. Even though I have lights on, shit can go wrong. So this is double nunchucks first. For all those show-offs, because I'm not a show-off, and I am no longer good with double nunchucks. We've proven that. Because the concentration level has to be about accurate. And as you see, I got to make sure that they don't hit each other so that they don't come at me. There's a good chance that you can fuck yourself up without even trying. Understand, if you need double nunchucks, that's great. But if you don't need double nunchucks, that's even better. Because it saves you the problem of trying not to hit yourself while trying to hit your opponent. Boom, outside. Excuse me, that was inside. With nunchucks, I feel a little bit more comfortable both ways. Inside strike, back under, outside. Technically, that's still an inside because it was still under my arm. Now, if it was over my shoulder like so, that would be outside. So, tuck it under, inside, tuck it out, outside. And the thing with nunchucks is, your range of motion is very important. So as you see my hand, it's at the front. Got to get down here so that camera can see it. I'll do it up in the live in a second. So this is at the tip. That's short range. That's mid-range. That's long range. Now I'm going to come up here first. So that's short range. That's mid-range. That's long range. Long range, you have the least amount of control and the least amount of grip. There's a good chance this thing can fly out your hand. Understand that shit. Mid-range, you have more grip. Your target has to get a little closer, but you have more grip and more control. And the ability to go from long range to mid-range to small range in the blink of an eye. It's best to be at mid-range most of the time, but you'll find your niche when you start working with these things, because I switch range while working them and don't even realize I'm doing it. That was an accident. But it does happen, which is another reason why if you get to fight with nunchucks, you're not going to be doing too much more of this shit versus, you know, somebody's coming, boom, boom, back to one, they're coming again, boom, boom, back to one, boom, boom, back to one, boom, boom. Now if you didn't notice, reverse grip. Here's the thing about nunchucks. If you don't know how to use them, don't bring them out. If you know how to use them, be cautious at who you're using them on. Alright? So you can use them this way. Boom, 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 boom. Block, 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 block. Block, 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 block. Understand your blocking ability. Oh, one of my lights went out. No, it just got out of range. Okay. Your blocking ability with the nunchucks. You're not Michelangelo. So if someone is throwing a star at you or something, this is a fucking no-go. That's a no-go. You know, because your hand-eye coordination is probably good, but the hand is quicker than the eye. So if someone's throwing a star at your eye and you think you're going to do this or this, you're going to lose an eye. The best block, if you're going against someone who has shurikens, is to hold these bitches together and keep them like this. This way, you can at least block them or bat them out of the way versus trying to do movie shit. Oh, I caught him in between my star. No, that's just not going to happen. You're going to fucking die. You want to block that throwing star? Boom. You know, because a shuriken is an instrument of death. A lot of people don't understand that. If you do enough research, you'll understand that a lot of those ninjas dip their shurikens in blowfish poisoning. So that even if they don't kill you right there, you'll die later. So understand, ninjas did carry poisonous throwing stars and those little spike things. So those are some of the things that people tend to leave off. Read a book. It does amazing things. But, you know, you're blocking a throwing star, you want your chucks together. You don't want your chucks. This is not going to block a throwing star. If it does block a throwing star, send me the video so I can say I'm sorry. But this right here, you'd be lucky if you block a tennis ball. Alright? I'm going to keep that shit real with you as best I can. That's a strike. That's a strike. You turn the damn thing this way, that's a strike. That's a strike. Now, you got to learn how to go from reverse grip to standard, working around the waist. There for my elbow, that's how I do it. But now I'm back up to standard grip. Now, see how I messed that up? Now, from here, I'm back in the standard grip still. Then I can switch here, and then go from here, catch it, and now I'm back in reverse grip. I don't like reverse grip. I mean, it's great if that's all you have. See, I gotta recover. But honestly, I don't feel comfortable with the reverse grip strike. That's my personal effects on that. Boom, boom. If that's the only way I can do it, then so be it. But I prefer standard grip. Close range, medium range, long range. I don't give a fuck as long as it's standard grip. Boom, boom. But if it comes to throwing stars, boom, boom. You gotta try to bat it away versus trying this shit. That propeller shit, save it for the cartoons. Because it's a cartoon. In reality, a throwing star moves pretty fucking fast. If that person has any kind of practice of throwing rocks or baseballs, you're fucked. Especially if they like to skip the rocks. You know, when you skip the rock, it's the same thing with a throwing star, man. And if you're not careful, somebody's gonna lose an eye. And they don't have pinpoint accuracy without practice. Remember, it's your pinpoint accuracy, not the star. The star goes where you throw it. It cannot shift directions. You are not called from the movie Crawl, where you can control the shit like that. You're not a telekinetic. You're gonna die. Keep the shit real. You're gonna fucking die. It's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. This is going to get you killed trying to block a throwing star. This also might get you killed where they're still together, but you got a better chance of batting it away with two of them solid versus one of them, because throwing star is pretty fucking fast, man. And you watch too much fucking TV if you think for a New York minute that this is going to work. Now, I'm not going to say it's impossible, because many things are impossible until they're actually done. But if you think I'm going to be dumb enough to do it, no. I like my eyes. I like to keep them as long as I can. Granted, I got to wear eyeglasses to read, which sucks, but I still have them. They still function. So I want to make sure that I'm doing this shit right. Okay. So we're going to go to bound fighting now. And then we're going to end the YouTube. God, I hope that's not shit that I just stepped in. Okay, good. It's not shit. Gonna disfigure my gloves. And after I do that, when I end the YouTube, I'm going to talk to native TikTok on my live real quick. And if you choose to stay, that's fine. If you choose to leave, because you might not like what I have to say, that's fine too. I may even actually do a video for YouTube for native TikTok. Alright? So, I mean, if you guys want to stick around, it's fine. If you don't want to stick around, you're not going to hurt my feelings. I completely understand. That car scared me. Let me see how much battery I got left. Oh, I got plenty of battery. Excellent. Excellent, excellent. So, bound fighting. Again, if you have no martial art training, do not, under any circumstances, attempt this that you are going to see. We're going to go from the back first, because you know that's how I roll. I always go from the back first because it's easier to show you versus tell you. And sometimes if you see it, you won't believe it. And sometimes if you do see it, you still might believe it. But I still suggest that you do not try bound fighting without proper training, without Generation X martial artists or baby boomer martial artists, the people who kind of taught me, versus New Age people. Because New Age people haven't really field tested this shit. I have field tested it, and it is not a safe thing to field test. Okay? Fighting with your hands tied behind your back is like not the safest bet. You have not a real lot of blocking ability unless you have flexibility. I am not very flexible with my left or my right arm, especially behind my back. This is my limit right here. So I need to learn how to adapt. As much as I can get my arm up there and get my leg up there, that shit's not going to help me. I know that, and now you know that, because it's not going to help me doesn't mean it's not going to help you, but I don't recommend that you try it. So those are your blocks. Then you're going to have to dodge and dodge, block with your knees. You're going to have to figure out how that shit works. But we're going to do the same drill as we always do. We're going to do escapes. We're going to do simple shit, because simple means survival, where fancy means you're going to get fucked up. Alright? Simple. If you don't know how to block, then you might want to make the first move, wait for the right time to make that move, and you want to keep that shit simple. Your feet, you don't want to leave the ground. You want to keep it simple so they're coming right at you. Boom, front kick. You notice my base leg never lifted up. Stepping front kick is when my left leg will lift up. Boom. That's also an option for them to catch my foot. So when they get close enough, boom, you know, if you want to do a combo, boom, boom, front kick, side kick, or side kick, front kick, you know. And if you kick them right and they fall forward after you side kick, front kick, boom, boom, throw a knee. Knees are very important. They are lethal. What are you not going to do? You are not going to do this reverse tornado kick, because your balance is off. You could die. You're not going to do this tornado kick because your balance is off and you are going to die. You are not going to do this jumping, spinning back kick. As you can see, my balance was off. And if you miss any one of those kicks, you're going to die. I should say you're going to get fucked up, but no, you're going to die. Let's just keep the shit real. You're going to die. If you ain't got no training, you're going to die. This is one of the also places where you would really want that pole technique if you were outside. But since you don't have the pole technique, we're going to practice on escaping from closed doors. We're from doors. Let's not say they're closed, but if they are closed, let's pray that they're not locked. Because if you beat somebody up with your hands tied, you're going to piss them off. And just because you beat them up doesn't mean they're out. This just means they're down. And just because a person is down, that does not make them any less dangerous to you. In fact, a person who is down, they could be faking, and they can make them more dangerous to you, especially when their pride is at stake because your hands were tied behind your back and you beat their ass. If your door is on your right, you use the outside to inside right leg crescent kick to kick your opponent to your left, his right, so you can escape. It should look like this. He's coming. Boom. Now, I just put myself in a position. I can pop my hips and run for the exit. Same thing, other side. Your door is on your fucking left. You want to use the outside to inside left foot crescent kick to put him to your right so that you can pop your hips and run to the left. He's coming. Boom. Now, on that event, you want to kick him with everything you got and pray that you don't miss. Because if you can knock him out, you're good. No cop in the world is going to arrest you when you show up with your hands tied behind your back. It's like, look, I laid this dude out down there. He tied me up, explain the situation. Do not throw the ropes away. He may have DNA evidence on there because he had to tie you up. Use your brain, all right? Now, let's say that you fuck up. Your door is on your left, and you get confused, so you use your left inside to outside crescent kick, which is this. Boom. Now you've set yourself up for engagement, especially if you didn't knock him out. So now you have to set yourself up to do battle. So make sure you at least keep one foot on the ground. If he swings, you can sidestep, you can dodge, you can attempt to block. Notice I said attempt to block. There's a big difference with blocking and attempting to block. It is not impossible to block with your hands, but they are tied behind your back, so you want to be very specific on how you do that. But since you set him with the wrong kick to engagement, and now you have to engage. So now if he comes, boom, keep one leg, your base leg, whichever leg that be at the time, on the ground. Let's say you're not good with your left leg, so you want to switch. He comes, boom, I know, still my left leg, shut up and listen. Now I switch sides, so now I'm back with the power leg. He comes again, boom. I can hold him all day, all right, until I fuck up. Now see, once I fuck up, that's when we have a problem. He's not going to expect me to keep switching his feet. So, boom, get my post, boom, get my post, play with him a little bit, boom, switch off, boom. Understand, you already have the tools you need. The only handicap is your hands. They're tied behind your back. And yes, that's America's ass. Anyway, couldn't resist it. In those situations, you have to understand, you can fuck up. How you recover from it is important. Remember I said your door was on the left. So you should have used your left foot to kick him with an outside to inside crescent kick, which is this kick. Boom! Sending him that way so that you can go this way. But what I showed you was you fucking up by using an inside to outside left foot crescent kick, which was this, which put him right in the fucking way of the door. See how your brain has to work? Now you're worried about combat stress, you're working on adrenaline, and you just blocked your own way out. So now you have to be prepared for that, which is what I just showed you. If you have to engage with him with your hands tied behind your back, you have to make no mistake about your exit strategy. Your exit strategy will be everything, and you need to be well-rounded and well-prepared. Because if you are not, you will be grounded, and you will probably get the hell beat out of you. Now we got that out the way. Let's go to my favorite. training with my hands in front of me. This is a little bit more practical, a little bit more survivable, a little bit more easier to manage. All right? Why is it easier to manage? Because you can block now. You know, high, medium, low, high, medium, medium with knee, low, high, medium, low, high, medium with knee, low. See, your options have just improved, which means your 50-50 chance of survival is more in your favor than not. But you're still not going to do this. You're still not going to do this. And you're still not going to do this. You're also not going to attempt to do the butterfly kick. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why didn't you do that when your hair's tied behind your back? Because the butterfly kick is the easiest kick to land on your face if you're not careful. Understand. Fight mechanics, man. Blocks. There's 1,000 blocks. You don't really have to fight. If you can block and just hold them off. No. Now, with your hands tied behind your back, your hands have to work together. They have to. Helps for your chain punches to practice this way. But the reality is, if you're ever in this situation, I don't know what kind of life you're living, but you fucked up because your hands are tied up. But the thing is, your blocking is the most important part of fighting in many cases. You know, you have to deal with that shit. So duck, block, 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 knee, elbow. Switch it off with karate now. Block, knee, elbow. Understanding the difference between what style does what, when, where, and how. Be well-rounded. You know, I'm not gonna BJJ your shit with my hands tied up, but I can keep on my feet with Wing Chun. I can keep on my feet with Kung Fu. I can keep on my feet with Kung Fu. I can keep on my feet with Kimpo. I don't have to worry about getting on the ground because I have no intention of letting you take me there. In the event that you do, and I'm trying to cover up, depending on where your body is on top of mine, I'm going to shove this rope through your neck. Boom. I'm going to chop you just hard enough so that you stop. Because a good shot to the throat will slow a person down, if not end them. I'm sorry. It will probably unalive them if you hit them hard enough. And that's going to be your option when you are on your back. You're not going to be doing any kicking up to your feet or any of that shit. It's not going to be able to when this guy's on top of you, dropping them bones on you. So you're going to have to know what to do. You're covering up. As you cover up, you're going to have to take a few hits. I'm going to call it like I see it. You're going to have to take a couple of body blows. And they're going to hurt. A fucking lot. Alright? Because you want to protect your head so you don't get knocked out. He sees you protecting your head, he's going to go for the body. Because that's what natural fighters do. If I can't hit you in the head, I'm going to go for the body. I'm going to try to break a rib. I'm going to try to bust a kidney. I'm going to try to bust whatever I can. If I'm on top of you and I'm just pounding away and your hands are tied up, you're at my mercy until you choose not to. So you're guarding and protecting your head. You need to be watching me. No matter how much pain you're going through, deal with that shit tomorrow. You're going to need to be watching me. So if you can see through your block where my neck is and you get that shot when I draw my hand back, because I'm going to be drawing it back a lot. You just got to time that shit. Boom! Right into the throat with the ropes. Then you got him. Put your hands in a clasp behind his neck and get in close and just start choking him with the rope. If you can get one hand around his neck, that would be great. And then your hands would look like this. So that you guys can see your hands look like this. His neck's in here. So you're locking. Let me go from the back. So first up here, you're locking. Got that? And down, if you can see me down on YouTube, down here. If you can get a hold of your wrist as you push through, you're going to hurt him really, really bad. Thank God these pants are black, so there won't be too many grass stains. But you have to understand, first, you can't panic. Second, I don't know how the fuck you even got in that situation, but if you're in a situation, you can still win. And by win, I mean survive. I don't mean beat his ass. I mean choke him the fuck out, period, with the rope that he tied you up with. Then get him off you. Once he starts to lose consciousness because you just locked your hands or you got this rope and you're choking the rope. Anybody who knows BJJ, they know gi no gi, how you can choke people with their belt. You can choke them with the gi. Because in the Army, they taught us to choke each other with the lapel of our fucking blouse. You know, if you can do that, then you're good. You just grab them by the lapel and just pull both collars apart. You know. Now, when a t-shirt, it's not going to function like that. You're going to have to grab the whole t-shirt, tuck and roll. And to make sure you guys are seeing that. So I grab the t-shirt. You have to tuck it in and then try to pull and push this little dot up into their neck. Hopefully you guys can see this now. You know, that's a lot of fucking work. That's a lot of fucking work. Alright? Now I suck at BJJ, but I know how to survive. I know how to beat BJJ because I learned that I sucked at BJJ in the Army. So I started making countermeasures for BJJ, my entire stat and Delta Company. Shout out to Delta Company. Also, shout out to Saber Night Lights. I missed you guys last night. I'm sorry. You know, I got some shit going on. I will promise to catch up with you guys as soon as possible. Shout out to my brother, Courtney Monroe. Anyway, the whole concept of being able to survive with your hands tied, it's not impossible. For a lot of us, it's highly improbable. For those who have not been trained, like myself, that's where problems come in. Alright? Once you guys understand that shit, you can still fight to survive with your hands tied. It's just gonna be work. It's not gonna be a fucking joyride. It's not gonna be a walk in the park. It's not gonna be like you see in the movies. It's gonna be fucking work. Everything I show you is legitimately usable. Alright? Do I recommend it? Only if your life depends on it. But the problem is, what life are you living where you are getting tied up? Now, if you're into BDSM, okay. Don't choke your sex partner. But if you're in real life and you're in danger and your hands are tied, I showed you what you can and can't do. Well, I showed you what you can and possibly can't do. Or what you possibly can do. I definitely showed you what you should never do. You gotta make sure that you're around your situation. You know, if your door's over there, you want your enemy over there. You don't want him in the middle between you and the door. You want that to never ever happen. So again, if your door's over there and you decide to use a inside to outside crescent kick, make sure it's this leg to put him in that direction, inside to outside. If you are over there, the door's over there, and you're better with the outside to inside, that would be this. That also puts you in position to run. But you want to kick him or her as far away from your exit as possible. And if you have two doors, good luck, because I wouldn't be able to tell you what to do, because I don't know if both of the doors have the word exit written on it, but I know anywhere is better than where you are, you know, if you're tied up, you know. So keep that shit in mind, man. And I'm not saying go get a belt and tie yourself up. I'm not saying that. But if you know someone who has this training, and make sure they actually have this legit training, then, you know, okay, go take some lessons. One more thing, though, while we're here. For those who do capoeira, let's not forget originally capoeira, their hands and their feet were chained, which is why there's a triangle with the jinga, because you're here and you're there. You're back, you're here, you're back, you're there, you're back, you're here, you're there, and your hands. Now, for those who jinga without the rope, yeah. I know a little. I'm not a master of it, but I know a little. So I'm going to end this YouTube, but I'm going to keep going to get ready to do some native talk. If you guys want to stick around, it's fine. Damn, whole hour.